It is January 7th. This is Charlie McGrath's Wide Awake News, and it's usually Dinah Everett-Snyder who will be on. I am Karen Quinn Tostado, subbing for my good buddy. She is a little bit under the weather. Hopefully she will be great here for this weekend when the United We Strike Marathon will be in full force. I'm going to be part of that this Saturday, and I'm glad to be here tonight. It's kind of nice, like coming back home here to Wide Awake News. And I really want to wish everyone a happy, healthy, prosperous New Year. That being said, in order to get there from here, we've got to wake up. We've got to understand that the only way we are going to have a happy, healthy New Year is if we take charge ourselves and demand some answers and response. And in my opinion, the largest issue we have facing us right now is Fukushima, as well as the ongoing Gulf of Mexico. Both disasters are continuing. For those of you who do not think that the government would be capable of a crime this badly, before I introduce you to my guest, I am going to just give you a few things to consider. During the Prohibition era, which is very interesting, if you have Netflix, you might want to check out Ken Burns' Prohibition. See what happens when good people believe that they're helping the rest of us by controlling our actions, controlling what we think, by telling us what we can and cannot do. But regardless of that, during Prohibition, the United States Department of the Treasury poisoned alcohol and people died. People died, over 1,000 people, from the United States government. The U.S. Public Health Service also lied about treating black men with syphilis for more than 40 years. This was, I think, Tuskegee. Jonas Salk, who created the polio vaccine in '55, had more than 100 million Americans receiving his vaccine, condoned by government, but this was contaminated with a potentially cancer-causing virus. My husband and I are both children who received the polio vaccines when we were younger. They lied us into the Vietnam War, just like they lied us into the Iraq War. Military leaders planned a terrorist attack in the U.S. to drum up support for a war against Cuba during the Kennedy reign. The big lie about the one bullet that killed Kennedy. MK Ultra and the government testing LSD on unwitting U.S. and Canadian citizens. In 1947, the CIA secretly resurfaced a sunken Soviet submarine with 3 nuclear-armed ballistic missiles. They sold weapons to Iran, violating an embargo, and used the money to support Nicaraguan militants. I could go on. If you want to find out a little bit more about this, what I actually have is links to these articles up on my blog page on UnitedWeStrike.com. And right now, though, what I would like to do is introduce you to my guest tonight who has been watching Fukushima. And he's been tracking this, but he's also been in the business for 18 years of trying to reverse the damage that we are doing to ourselves. And actually, I'm going to get out of the way now, and I am going to introduce Chuck Hindman, who is a friend of Dinah's. He is on MidAmericaLandRestore.com. Chuck, welcome to the program. You have the floor.
Good evening. Sound better, or are we still having
a few? Sound
fine. Okay. All right. First off, Mid-America Land Restoration is dealing in contaminations all across the board. We started with agriculture just to keep going against the GMOs and the chemicals. Then, of course, we had the issues with the BB Gulf Coast problems and the oil. And then the natural disaster of Fukushima. Because of the business, I try to stay in front of what's going on. I try to educate everybody on how we can move forward. One of the biggest things right now we face all across are issues of symptoms. You know, I talked to Dinah earlier. This is one of the things she wanted me to say something about with the flus, everybody being sick, how they're tying it to this, that, and everything else. So I've got on that page of mine, Mid-America, which I've dropped a link in there on Facebook. When you go into there, go ahead and hit the like button. Pinned to the top of the page is a lengthy article that talks about symptoms and issues, and I'm going to address that now. The symptoms is nausea and vomiting, diarrhea, skin burns, weakness, fatigue, loss of appetite, fainting, diarrhea, dehydration, inflammation of tissues, bleeding from your nose, gums, mouth, so on and so forth. And then the second link I've got with symptoms goes, like I said, nausea, vomiting, bruising, inability to heal wounds, bleeding, bloody diarrhea and vomit, radiation burns, loss of hair, headaches, weakness, fatigue, mouth sores, seizures, tremors, fever, infections. Okay, sounds like a pretty nasty flu bug to me, but these are all symptoms of radiation poisoning. I did an article 3 weeks back, or on the 31st, that got a lot of attention. A lot of the things that people need to understand, here are, in their own words, their own documents, in direct evidence, what the entire Obama administration are in willful knowledge of failure to inform, educate, protect the public in magnitude of 4 crippled nuclear reactors at Fukushima and the ongoing nuclear fallout, to date tens of thousands of times worse than all cumulative global tests, bombs, weapons, leaks since the dawn of the Hitler nuclear weapons program during World War II. How many people out here realize how bad things have got? The government just this year started changing the regulations in April. They raised our radiation safety limits 27,000 times because it was showing up in too many major cities drinking water.
I think that we should go back on that again, Chuck. 27,000 times.
Yes. They originally raised it the first time just days after Fukushima. And then we exceeded their limits already a week or so after that. That's when RadNet went down because too many people were watching it. We exceeded. They raised it 3 times, but we kept exceeding it. This time, they raised it 27,000 times. And in the same PDF file, they changed the acceptable death ratios from 1 in 100,000 people to now 1 in 23. People, it's time to wake up.
1 in 23 now.
1 in 23. That's affecting our children and our grandchildren.
Exactly. I think this is a huge issue that needs to be addressed, and ignoring it is not going to solve the problem.
And all of the PDF files, all of the documentation is on Facebook, on my page, Mid-America Land Restoration. It's crucial. It's all here. I follow and monitor the Nuclear Tracking Center. I pull rad readings on a regular basis. It's been here. Back to the symptoms. The big one that I wanted to talk about, on the bottom of this last list that I talked about, seizures and tremors. Okay, the article I did up on the 31st of December as many of us, we know someone serving in our military service. The fight for love of country, the love of our flag, and then the love of their family. People, I am truly grateful to those in service. I've got many friends in service. These guys fight for what I'm doing in trying to educate what powers to be do not want you to know. So my hands go out to those guys and women that are in service. Okay, we're going to move on with this article here. Here's the deal. Seals, sea lions, polar bears, bald eagles, sea stars, turtles, so on and so on. Cancer's up 65%, and nobody wants to talk about it. Like I said, they raised our radiation safety limits 27,000 times to change the acceptable death rate. Okay, on this article, I've got 3 different links tied to the dead sea lions that started in the California coast this spring, the dead seals, the polar bears in Alaska, the seals war, all of it's all linked in here. The last thing is the bald eagles, our national bird, our symbol of freedom has fallen. Your experts, everybody's calling it West Nile. I got issues with West Nile. One, wrong time of year. West Nile is supposed to be, and I use supposed to be loosely, tied to mosquitoes. Mosquitoes aren't out in the freezing snow. 2, birds are not supposed to be affected with West Nile. Simple fact is, too many feathers. They can't get into the blood. So they try and say, okay, they ate infected meat. Again, if they're eating infected fish like they claim, fish is underwater. I don't see this happening either. All bottom line is, if I pull up, I'm looking at the article that they wrote about the mysterious problems with their birds. In the article, they talk about the symptoms of the bird. The symptoms of the bird are suffering from seizures, head tremors, and paralysis. Go back and look at the links of symptoms. They're talking about radiation poisoning, but they're calling it West Nile. West Nile has never been fully identified in a lab. This is very, very outrageous. They keep trying to cover it up, and I keep trying to make people do their own research, and I've been punching holes in their theories. Along with that article, I talk about the rat race. Why all of a sudden, out of the blue, would Death Valley National Park immediately suspend all running and cycling activities within the park without any warning or discussion? The one-word possibility, radioactivity. Michael Collins from Euro Reporter tested the radiation at Furnace Creek in Death Valley National Park on November 23rd. He measured the radiation at Furnace Creek at an astonishing 3.15 times background via a water sample. Collins states after the testing, there are levels that far exceed what is considered safe. California Highway Patrol considers anything over 3 times background to cause hazardous material situation. 3 times background. They were at 31.5 times background. So they closed off the park. There was more testing done. The links are there. The articles are there. YouTube testing. It's all there if you want to research it. Bottom line is, we're trying to wake people up to a very serious, ongoing problem.
Okay, Chuck, we're getting feedback. We're going to need to call you back on the telephone and get you right back up here. So actually, if you disconnect from Skype, we'll call you right back so that we can, he's going to give me an early break here. All right, we'll be right back with Chuck and more symptoms that actually are signs of radiation poisoning as opposed to just a cold.
And I'm not feeling right. All I wish is to be alone. Stay away. Don't you invade my home. Best off if you hang outside. Don't come in. I'll only run and hide. Who can it be now? Who can it be?
Heart-related health problems affect millions of people each year. Maybe you're one of the many who suffer from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you with horrible side effects. If you are ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself, then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Heart and Body Extract has a 23-year proven track record of using certified organic herbs that make up an excellent formula to balance and support the heart and circulatory system. In as little as 2 weeks, you can feel amazing results when your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements every day, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, and even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com and now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae species found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. Bio Superfood is a strong defender in the fight against radiation exposure. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity, is safe, and has no contraindications whatsoever. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioAge.com. That's spelled BIOAGE.com, BioAge.com. Or you can call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge, the age of advanced organics.
All right, who can it be knocking at my door? Maybe that's the voice inside of you that's telling you that this is an issue that needs to be addressed, and it will not be addressed if we continue to just live our lives as usual, letting these bozos continue to destroy our world. We're more than pieces of paper or metal. Our children's health is an issue that we should all be concerned with. 27,000 times to raise acceptable limits is unacceptable. So I believe now that we've got the sound issues cleared up. Chuck, would you just quickly go over again some of those symptoms that some of the people may be experiencing right now, thinking that they're just having some other issue when in fact it is a symptom of radiation poisoning? I want them really to understand what is at stake here and where they may be missing this in their own homes and their own lives.
Okay, like I said a little bit ago, I've got 2 different sources, 2 different links. They both overlap on a lot of them. So
Nausea and vomiting are big issues on both of them. Bruising and the ability to heal wounds. Bleeding of orifices, nose, mouth, ears, that's on both of them. Diarrhea and vomiting are on both of them. One of them picks up the bloody diarrhea and vomiting. Burns, hair loss, headaches, weakness and fatigue. Weakness and fatigue is on both of them. Mouth sores, seizures, tremors, fever, infection. These are all symptoms and signs of radiation poisoning.
Well, now, Chuck, what can we do what are you doing to help with all this situation? Because we can just go on and get people all upset, which hopefully they are getting upset because it's time to take our lives back under our own control instead of submitting to lobbyists and bribed politicians whose vested self-interest keep them from acknowledging just how important it is that we address this issue.
Okay, like I said, I deal in contamination. I push to try and stay on what's going on in my backyard. Mid-American Land Restoration is a business dealing in multiple levels of different contamination. I run over 125 naturally reoccurring beneficial microbes / probiotics. These things is the top of nature in a bottle. We can slowly get our stuff back, meaning our soil and our water. Once we get our soils reset and we keep treating whatever we're growing, whether it's the garden in the backyard to the crops in the fields, livestock from chickens to horses to donkeys to even our bald eagles that are fallen. We can turn this around by putting down microbes, putting microbes in the water for the livestock, working our soil, getting our soil back to its natural base. We've already got almost 3 years of contamination. We're going to have to hit things pretty hard. And unfortunately, when you look across the country, one of the biggest things I've noticed is the number of trees that are dying off. Our trees are our number one oxygen producer. We've got to try and save our trees. You know, these trees are very important to us. Our food supply, our meat. Everybody's got to eat and breathe. At the same time, so does our livestock. They eat the grass that everything's falling into. That's why our milk is so contaminated. Cattle are grazing the grass. You know, we've got YouTube videos posted. There's all sorts of documentary on how hot the snow is. Well, the rain is too. It's just that the snow lays there to where it could be red. We can pick readings up on it. Kind of hard to pick up moving water in the stream or whatever.
Now, how did you get into microbes? Because it sounds like also, if you just give us a little history on that these could as well take out a lot of the pollutants that are dumped in the geoengineering that's affecting our weather.
It is, and it does. I got into the microbes, about 18 years ago. I'm a country farm boy. I grew up in the agriculture. And the gentleman that got me going into this, great friend of mine, he's now deceased. But I'm trying to keep his dream going. We've got a lot of positive things going on here with the microbes. And, you know, like I said, we started in the agricultural world. I started doing things more outside of the agricultural world, and hence is the name of Mid-American Land Restoration. And then I started doing a lot of mold remediation, mold in our homes. And this is a food source for the microbes. We don't have to open up the walls. We don't have to tear a house down to remediate mold. It is a food source. At the same time, airborne contaminants, indoors, mold spores, some viruses. Every time we open that door or that window, what's in our atmosphere outside comes into our home. We can very simply put our home on a monthly maintenance level with a fogging with the microbes to where our bodies can recuperate, where we regenerate at night when we're sleeping. If all we're doing is breathing contaminants, the body doesn't heal as fast, and it's just a drudge-long fight, especially during the flu season. We can mitigate a lot of this with nature. Like I said, and then on top of it, Chernobyl is encased in black mold. We're finding the mold and radiation are tied together in one form or another. It's a double-edged sword. It's hard to keep a balance.
So mold and radiation are tied together. You're finding that?
Yeah, we're finding any places that have high concentration of radiation and moisture are having high issues with mold.
Interesting. And that's also something that people in Oregon here, where we get lots of rain, except for this last year, are also facing. And I know as well, living in an RV, years ago we did use some microbes in our tank. And I have been wanting to get back into these, which is very interesting to me that it just so happens that Dinah has you scheduled tonight, because I know that we spoke to you earlier and we'll follow up. I think that it's very, very important to do the things we can to take our health into our own hands and out of these corrupt people who are only profiting off the medications that make us more ill.
And that's a big trick. Like I keep saying, everything's about a balance. Balance is the key. And that's the nice part about working with the microbes. You cannot overdo it. That's the simple part. You cannot overdo it. You can put not enough down, especially when we're dealing outside contaminants with our soil and our water. Once we get our soils back in check, this is the interesting part. Once we get our soils back in check, what is our soil to nature? Our soil to nature is nature's natural filter. Once we get that filter cleaned, what is the next thing that starts cleaning up?
Water?
Our water.
And that is so important. People who've heard me know I am a huge fan of the water. And as well, when we're talking about being able to help your soil, folks, if you're out there and you're interested in this, if you've been using microbes, if you have a comment or question, please call in 877-342-6673. 877-342-6673, and start to consider this, because farming season is coming up. Spring will be here, and before that, it's time actually to start working with the soil and these microbes, is it not, Chuck?
Oh, we can be putting down the microbes at any point once our soil is at 45 degrees. So if you've got soil base, even southern or western part, and your soil does not actually get down below freezing temperatures, you could be putting the microbes down now. Start cleaning up the contamination.
It's pretty cold up here still. We've got record-breaking cold with this, of course, global warming that the government is talking about.
Yeah, it's
So-
global warming when most of the country is in sub-zero or below freezing temperature.
It's pretty
Not going
crazy.
there.
No. But, okay, say that, well, I've also seen on your website where you advocate using these microbes with your pets. So they are also
They're
very
probiotic.
beneficial. Okay, to living sentient beings. So again, people out there, just put your own thinking caps on and understand that if these are actually capable of eliminating toxins simply because they turn it into food, what could it also do for people?
The nice part about natural, reoccurring, beneficial microbes, they're probiotic. Our livestock, the cattle industry, unfortunately, feed the livestock so much of this GMO corn. The GMOs are plugging up the animals. They're not able to digest. Once we've got the animals turned around on the microbes, it opens their guts back up to where they're actually absorbing more of what they're eating, more nutrients. In return, because they're absorbing, they're not having to eat as much. You're going to cut back a feed bill. The animal's healthier. You're going to cut back on a vet bill. That's a double win. Once we got our soils turned around, you're going to get your water turned around. Another double win.
You mentioned something about that earlier, and I think that that's really important because up here again in Oregon, now that I'm involved locally in the farmers market, there are a lot of local farmers here who are worried that we are not having enough rain and that people who are in the South Umpqua River Basin will be restricted. There's actually someone here now in Oregon called a water master. And so what could these microbes potentially do in terms of being able to stretch the amount of water that you need to use to properly grow your plants?
Okay, once we've got the soil turned around, over the years there's been so much chemical and so much anhydrous ammonia and so much pumped into our soil. Anhydrous ammonia actually turns the soil to a hard pan. That hard pan, once that moisture hits the water pan, it runs off. That's why you keep losing so much topsoil, because it all runs away. When we work with the microbes and we take that compaction back out of that soil, your earthworms keep coming in, starts breaking things down, everything is looser, your soil becomes more of a sponge that actually holds and retains the moisture than it hitting that hard pan and rolling off. So your soil will start to hold the moisture where you've got moisture there for your growing of your crop.
Which is also crucial to have the soil be able to actually hold that moisture in. All right, it looks like we are coming up with another break here. We've got D.E.Snyder in the chat room. We also have Buddy, I Am, a couple of Anons, Rearrange, and Matt is streaking through the room. Thanks for showing up there as well. We'll be right back after these messages. Call if you have a question. 877-342-6673.
Scientists in England have succeeded in stabilizing the time-honored substance in garlic that destroys harmful bacteria, viruses, molds, yeast, and fungus. This all-natural microbe killer is called Allicin C, and it's now available to you in 100% vegetarian capsules only on the New Earth page at rense.com. This powerful broad-spectrum antimicrobial agent is harmless to friendly bacteria and has been concentrated to equal an astonishing 35 cloves of garlic in each vegetarian capsule. Think about it. The antibacterial, antiviral strength of 35 odorless cloves of garlic in just one capsule. Allicin C is so effective it even destroys superbug MRSA in test after test. Allicin C is truly an incredible advance in natural medicine, and with the threats of bacterial and viral diseases and pandemics growing, no home should be without it. Learn more and order Allicin C on the New Earth page at rents.com.
Charlie McGrath of WideAwakeNews.com here with a question for my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. What do they know that we don't? Insiders and a who's who list of elite have made it crystal clear that we are headed for catastrophe, putting out warning after warning, urging people to batten down the hatches. Billionaire George Soros has recently been dumping stocks and at the same time acquiring millions in gold. In fact, in a recent interview, he was quoted as saying, "I'm not here to cheer you up. The situation is as serious and difficult as I've experienced in my career." Out of control government deficit spending and a Federal Reserve that's only solution seems to be print more fiat currency will lead to a weaker dollar and massive inflation on necessity items such as energy and food. If you have wealth to protect, please visit my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. Gabe Elton and the folks at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion have many Wide Awake News customers because they're honest, they're fair, and they won't sell you paper promises or product they do not have. Call Gabe Elton at 800-552-4109. That number again, 800-552-4109, or visit them online at austincoins.com.
Make a promise, take a vow, and trust your feelings, it's easy now. Understand the voice within and feel a change already beginning.
All right, and from Dinah in the chat, all life relies on the topsoil, which is at most 4 inches and usually 2 inches only, and is saturated with pesticides, herbicides, chemtrail fallout, and Fukushima crap. Speaking of crap, criminals run all politics. I'm thinking since microbes eat crap, we need to be sending these to our local officials in massive amounts. Let's just pour it on top of the White House.
We'd still have more EPA issues and regulations thrown back at us.
Maybe it's a good start there, but to dump some of these microbes on some of the most heinous of our politicians, the Bush-Clinton cabal and the rest of them. But
I think we just here's a better idea.
Okay.
Crap upon crap. We'll just get us some big choppers, big bags. We'll start cleaning up our hog farms and our feed yards, and we'll just start dumping in D.C., see if we can clean them up.
Now, that would be great, too. Actually, I think that some of our politicians should be living in those feedlots. But microbes, okay. So for people who right now are thinking, in spring I'm going to have a garden, and I can't do anything until 45 days or until it's 45 degrees outside, but what would you tell people in order to get them thinking about how to do this and incorporate this into their garden so we can start getting healthier food and doing this ourselves while not relying on the crap, the criminals running all politics who are in government?
Well, the biggest thing is we really need to start figuring out how big of an area you can do a garden in. Because we can't trust what we buy at the grocery store. We know that. That's a given. All of our produce, all of our meat, you don't know where it's coming from. We need to start cleaning up bigger garden areas and start growing our own food. The ironic thing with me in the microbes, I also have other things for us to be using and doing to combat issues ourselves. I do have a homeopathic levels of iodine treatments that are doing wonderful. I also have highly oxygenated water. And we know what high oxygen body does. Cancer does not like high concentration of oxygen. Our bodies are made up in cellular levels with oxygen. There are many things we can do to live with this mess called Fukushima. There are alternatives. There are other things that we can do to keep us going. The big thing right now, the big push, I would be doing the monthly fogging in our homes, keep our homes clear.
What is fogging?
We can buy ULV cold mist foggers. You can find me at MidAmericaLandRestore.com on the web, or MidAmerica Land Restoration on Facebook. I can get you foggers. That way, if you have an issue with the fogging, you can always call me. I know what machine you've got, and I can help you dial it in via the telephone. Foggers take the liquid and turn the microbes to a fog, which puts it airborne, which we are able to remove or control, do so much good with removal of mold issues, smells, pet issues in the home with carpets. There's a lot of things that we fog for, and it's all beneficial. We're talking about 125 different species of natural reoccurring microbes going airborne and lowering so much contamination out of the air where our bodies can recuperate.
Did you say 125 microbial species or species that are eating the feces?
Species.
All right. We also have a caller. We have Thelma on the line. Hi, Thelma. Thanks for calling in.
Hi. I have a question. If you do like a compost pile and you put all your fruits and vegetables and then your like your poo, your feces from animals, does that create probiotics and microbes also?
Not in the 125 different species. The thing with waste, our dog waste, our pet waste, there's nothing really there for that to be beneficial to us. The beneficial part of manure are from your horses, your cattle, the big animals. Small animals, not so good for us.
Okay, would that create any of the microbes that would be helpful?
A small number. It's never a bad thing, but it's not going to match the 125 different species.
Yeah.
If we're blending the compost with the microbes that I'm running, you're going to see a big difference in your garden.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
Thank you for calling, Thelma. Now, Dinah is also wanting me to read this, which is in the Skype that she sent to me earlier today, because some of you out there may be thinking, well, I just need to call up my misrepresentatives. Before Christmas, we had the following nuclear readings across the U.S. Reno, 556 is a RADCON 4. Idaho Falls, 599, a RADCON 5. Grand Junction, Colorado, 631, a RADCON 5. We also had 2 RADCON 4s and 3 RADCON 3s in California. I'm still hearing an echo. I'm not sure what to exactly do about that. Todd, maybe you can mute Chuck's line here for just a second, and I'll finish reading this and toss it back to him, if possible. But we had 2 RADCON 4s and 3 in California. Okay, so Dinah is saying, for this reason, I called Washington, D.C., the White House, and tried to reach Diana D. Jett for Grand Junction because she's on the Committee for Energy and Commerce. Her assistant was so incredibly ignorant and wanted to know why I was wanting to contact the woman. Then said that I wasn't in her district. I hadn't told her where I was, and that I should call Scott Tipton's office because he actually represented Grand Junction. I pointed out that nuclear particulates didn't adhere to state or county lines and that I wanted her name so that I could complain. She hung up on me. I have been very polite. I called Mike Simpson's office. He's on the Appropriations Committee. His assistant also refused to give me his name, asked why I was calling this after I had explained that I was calling to find out if they knew what the latest readings were and why the media was silent on reporting this and a senator had a response position opinion, and if not, why? The assistant wanted my mailing address so that Mike Simpson could respond in writing. I asked what he was going to respond to since the assistant clearly didn't understand my questions. The assistant then asked if I was a government official. No. He then asked if I was a registered voter. Why? And then he hung up. I called Jared Huffman, Budget Committee and Natural Resource Committee, and Mike Thompson, Ways and Means Committee and Intelligence Committee. Both these offices said neither senator was available and for me to call back in the new year, then hung up. Now, Scott Thompson's office was polite. His assistant said that Scott was out in the field and unable to take my call. I said that was nonsense, as everyone has a cell phone, and gave him my number and asked him to forward my number to the senator with my request, read the readings, etc. 2 days before Christmas, a person named Christopher from Scott Tipton's office called and left me a polite message saying he would give me a call after the new year on behalf of the senator. Still waiting. But they did at least call back and didn't hang up on me. Diana Titus for Nevada. She is on a committee for the Veterans Affairs, Transportation, and Infrastructure. Her office number just rang and rang, even though I called several times. No one was there. Diane Feinstein's office. Her staff said that she was totally unavailable and that I was welcome to submit an official letter/request, and her office would respond through appropriate channels. So they don't want to talk to anyone, any of us. They have raised EPA, the acceptable limits of radiation 27,000 times, and the acceptable death rate went from 1 in 100,000 to 1 in 23 after Fukushima. So as you can see, we have huge, huge issues. Thank you, Todd. All right, now we just have a few minutes left. I want to toss it back to you, Chuck. Give us your website again. I want to thank you very much for coming on with me tonight, and I hope that people who are listening will really check out your site and consider what they can do for themselves.
All right. Contact information for me is at MidAmericanLandRestore.com. That's the main website. Facebook, Mid-America Land Restoration. Main website has phone numbers in it on the contact page, plus a direct email link. There's a lot of things going on there with Facebook. One other thing I want to point out, another good source of information to watch, and there's a forum involved now where we're trying to put as much information in one place that people can find. You can study and research all of these links in this forum. The forum is Fukushima Truths.freeforums.net. You can find those links on my Mid-America page as well, on Facebook. There's a lot of great information in there, in that forum. Watch Nuclear Emergency Tracking Center. Get your latest RAD readings. One of the main reasons why I watch them over everybody else is he's an independent. He's not tied to the government and the new radiation safety limit. I feel we're getting more of a true number out of him than we are out of RadNet and some of the other ones. Like I said, we've got issues with our bald eagles in Utah. I've followed these RAD readings. Utah has been really high for quite some time. And like I said, our national bird, our freedoms in its symbol is very important. I think for a lot of us, there's a lot of people that have lost sight and have their heads attached to the mainstream media. Mainstream media is not going to report on half of what we've discussed tonight.
No, and it looks like our time is up. That was Chuck Hindman. I want to thank him again very, very much for joining me tonight. Remember, the United We Strike Marathon is this Saturday. I will be there live at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, probably earlier for the round table. This is, again, Mid-America. Give me your website one more time, quickly, Chuck.
MidAmericaLandRestore.com. and Mid-America Land Restoration on Facebook.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Todd, in the control room. Hopefully Dinah will be feeling better and be back at you next week. Stay tuned again for more right here on Jeff Rense's station. Good night, and take your health into your own hands. Thanks for listening.
The rest of the world watching at the end of the day, both scared and angry, like, what did he say?
Oxygen. It's nature's oldest therapy and plays an essential role in destroying viruses, bacteria, mold, yeast, and fungus, and keeping the human body healthy and strong. Now, you can give your body and your immune system a mega boost of disease-fighting oxygen with all-natural Oxy-C. With so many people now leading a sedentary indoor lifestyle, most are in a chronic state of oxygen deprivation, which sets up a perfect environment for disease, general fatigue, and a host of other symptoms. Oxy-C is yours in simple, convenient capsules. Nothing to mix, nothing to hassle with. Take it with juice or water anytime. Feel a cold or flu approaching? Have no energy or spark anymore? Try all-natural Oxy-C and prepare to be amazed. Oxy-C is only available from New Earth Health Solutions at Rense.com. Look for the New Earth banner at Rense.com.
In 2007, one man, Mike Dillard, made 5 predictions which forecasted the 2008 economic crisis and the pending Eurozone collapse. 3 brand new, shocking, must-watch videos with predictions for the coming year. www.the3videos.com. Over the past year, Mike Dillard has helped thousands of ordinary people create and recover wealth by tapping into the black box investing strategies the big banks don't want you to know about. www.the3videos.com. As the European banking system implodes and governments collapse at breakneck speeds, the next 12 months will be the most anticipated and important months in modern human history. This will make 2008 look like a walk in the park. Everyone will be affected. Go to www.the3videos.com now. Learn how to prepare your family and prosper during the global financial collapse.
You're listening to the Rense Radio Network, nationwide and worldwide on the net and at Rense.com.